the will-o-wisps are designed in such a way that they don't always point towards the nearest barrow, which I could very easily fix, but by God, I don't want to. It's funny when it happens to other people. Here we go. Hello? Aha! There he is! Hey, fella! I don't have any fish. So we're going to have to play a game of please hold very still because I don't have any fish. There we go. Hey. Oh, yeah. There we go. Come on. You can come over here. There you go. Alright, the vortex is now fully operational, and I only had to damn a little bit of my soul to do it, which is less than I usually have to. Look, if I gotta sit through commercials of Santa Claus driving a Subaru in mid-February, I can put out a Halloween episode on Thanksgiving. I don't care. You see, this Halloween, I have an unfinished building in the way of an aqueduct rather than an unfinished aqueduct in the way of a building, and this building specifically is where I want to put my pulverizer system. We have a fairly functional one in the Birdplate, but the Birdplate is, you know, like 4 kilometers away, so I don't like having to run back there to pulverize 3 gold ore, or in my case, an entire shulker box full of quartz ore. So we're gonna put that in here now, because it's been a long time coming, and I need to just sit down and do it. Hi, how are you? All right, that is a decent start. Now we just have to actually get in there, which is fairly straightforward. All you got to do is jump on this jar, and then this jar, and up this ladder, onto this fire escape, then up to this second fire escape, and then down onto the roof, past the smokestacks, onto the sub-roof, and then just jump across to here. That's probably going to change in the future, but there's nothing in here, so we're going to get started on that now. Now, if I was smart, I probably would have built the pulverizer first and then put the building around it to make sure that the redstone would fit, but, you know, where's the fun in that? What? Oh, okay, I guess signs don't technically have... Whatever. Okay, so we're going to do the redstone now and just try and make it fit. Now, since this is a device that I made up for a game mechanic I made up, I'm actually going to try and walk you through this one. So we're going to put the output chest here so that I should be able to reach it from the window without actually going into the building. 2 hoppers going into that, and we're going to put our bolster plates on here. And as you may recall, I don't know that I actually showed this in depth, but you can take a... I'm probably going to change how this works so you can actually just do it on an anvil, but you can take your enchanted book and pop it on the bolster plate, and then when that pulverizes something, it will act as though it has the fortune enchantment, more or less, and output the requisite amount. And then we just need 2 pistons going into that to actually do the pulverizing, and 2 droppers to put the items in. Now, there's not a lot of space back here, as I suggested earlier, for the redstone part. And that's, I mean, mostly because I built the entire building. I'm gonna have the same thing that I did down here and over here. Oh, where am I? Over here. Behind this back half of the building is going to be on a separate level, so the redstone will be hidden under the walkway, and shouldn't be a huge problem there. We're just going to cover these up and put some trapdoors on it. I'd like to switch those to oak in the future, I think, so that there's a slightly bigger window, but I don't have any of those right now. And I'm going to put, okay, I have greatly hindered my ability to get up here. 2 hoppers and an input chest, which will ideally divide the input between both of these and hopefully make it slightly more efficient than just doing one. So, most important thing is we need comparators running off of the droppers so that the machine will keep running as long as these are stocked. The difficult part is that we basically need to make this an OR gate with a signal strength of 1. So that actually probably needs to be a target block with a redstone torch on it. I always forget something. And that is going to hook in to our... I already have hoppers in my inventory. And now I have even more. Okay. That's going to hook into a hopper timer, not a timer, clock. You ever notice the things that people call hopper clocks are actually timers, and the things that people call hopper timers, or the thing that I just called a hopper timer right now, is actually hopper clock? That's kind of weird. Just going to put a piece of dust on that. That should lock that while the system is not in use. I do need a dummy item to put in there. Fortunately, I'm carrying around a snow cone for unknowable reasons. Okay, we're actually going to move that up 1 block and orient it like this, which I think should make this slightly easier. And snow cone in there. Snow cone in there, and then that will stay in here until this is unlocked. We're going to pull a comparator signal off of this so that when the snow cone gets in there, this will actually emit a redstone signal. This might work slightly better if I use something that emitted a single signal strength longer than 1, but I'm not. So, redstone repeater into there, which will power both of these droppers, and redstone dust in there to actually get the power into the repeater. So now, if I throw an item in here, these are not going to fire, but it's at least going to spit out. Yes, and then that will go right down in there because these didn't do anything. So, all right, so now that that's running, we want to pull a signal down through this block into a 4-tick repeater, which goes into here and into here. We have a piece of dust here. Repeater powers the dust, which will lock this hopper and this hopper, and technically also this hopper, which doesn't really matter, and not that one because, again, it doesn't really matter. The reason that we have double stacked hoppers here, for the record, is just so that items get out of this hopper faster, because sometimes if you're pulverizing in bulk, you run into a scenario where the hoppers fill up. Like if you put copper ore in here, the hoppers are going to fill up very quickly, and getting items moving through there faster is kind of important for making sure this machine runs smoothly. So that should lock these, which should give this enough time to fire. Again, it won't because that part's not hooked up yet as soon as this spits out. Okay, there we go. Okay, I can eliminate so much headache by just replacing this stupid snow cone with an iron axe. So that will send a slightly longer signal strength, which should make things a little less complicated. And because of that, this clock will now emit a signal strength of 3 every time it pulses instead of 1, which saves me from very little. I could just put a repeater here and accomplish much the same thing, but it allows me to carry this signal up a little bit further to here, where we can stick a repeater here and pipe it into these pistons like that. Which is making me rethink putting the input here, but it's fine, we can decorate later. And we just want that on, I think, 3 ticks. So in theory, if I just put, this won't do anything because it's a target block, but yep, that has just enough time. And if I sacrifice one of my deep slate, yes, turns into cobbled deep slate. Just hide in there. Now, if I had a little more space, this next circuit would be a little more sophisticated, but we're just going to pull a comparator off of here, and we're going to give it a signal strength of 2, drop that down into here, pull that out through here, and I believe, actually even just, I think that might work. And then if we put that in, no, actually that's fine on its own. So that means if this hopper, and not this one, just due to space constraints, I could probably make it fit, but I don't really want to. If this has enough items in it that it's emitting an output of 2, it will power this, which will be stronger than the power coming out of the hopper, which will prevent this comparator from ticking on, which will prevent this system from continuing to fire until this hopper has emptied out, which should stop it from overflowing. This one could still theoretically fill up if somehow this one is full of copper ore and this one is just getting cobblestone or whatever, but I'm not too worried about it. In fact, I could probably alleviate this entirely by just filtering everything into this hopper, but I feel like that would just make more of a mess than... it's fine, is basically what I'm saying. I'm not worried about it. So, I think we can just close this up now. Okay, slight miscalculation there, as this comparator would have actually technically been putting power through this block into here, which would have wrapped around and locked itself, which would have shortened the pulse length, which could have messed with the system. So instead, what we're actually going to do, and now that I've thought about it a little more, this might be slightly safer, we're going to take a comparator out of here, we're just going to put it into a repeater, and then we're just going to wrap the repeater around and put full power into here, so that if there's anything in this hopper, it will shut this comparator signal off temporarily until it's emptied. Because there is nonetheless actually still a chance that there could somehow be 5 items in here that are not enough to get to signal strength 2 or 3 on a comparator, but still enough that another item couldn't go in. And long story short, that's how you get all of your quartz turned into sand and all of your coal turned into black dye, which you don't want. So I think that this is going to work. All that said, you know, I wonder, just out of idle curiosity, did this ever change? It used to be that you couldn't put redstone on a piston when it pushed, or the piston would break the redstone. Does this work? I'm just going to use... It does. Okay. That changes things. I'm always worried about doing that, because there was a time where that would just break. I'm going to do double stacked hoppers. I would like to not slide down the ladder. I'm going to put some slabs over top of this just to give us a floor, and I'm actually going to use trapped chests so that, and hopefully that's not causing any quasi-connectivity issues anywhere, so that while I have this chest open, it's not pulling items. So let's see what this does. Now, why aren't you firing? Oh, because you're getting powered through there. Okay, so in my other design, I do have a 1-tick repeater going into a 3-tick repeater, which is technically still 4 ticks, but I think for pulse length, there are some logistical differences there. But it seems like a 3-tick works fine. So, I mean, that pulverized all that. So we should be good there. I am going to have to redo this area now that this is where the input is, but I'm also not too worried about that. Cover that back up, and this should work now, question mark? Okay, and now, god damn it, that may be a problem. Okay, and now we're just going to run, I don't actually want to pulverize that, I don't know why that's in there. We're just going to run a quick test on this. We're just going to use half a stack of these each. Nether quartz ore is a good test block because quartz can be double pulverized. You can pulverize the quartz or the ore into quartz and then the quartz into sand. So if we get any sand, checking to make sure, nope. If we get any sand, we'll know there's a problem. So, and then we'll do all of this in bulk later and make sure there's really not a problem. So let's start with this. And it's not going to go in until, and in fact, putting the gold in first is also a good test, because that could give us enough of a backlog that this could create a problem. So, here we go. Yeah, see there it stopped because there's too much stuff in there right now. I may regret this, but I'm going to swap out the hoppers below here with 2 hopper minecarts, because these will pull from containers a hell of a lot faster than regular hoppers, which when all we're worried about is clearing items out of hoppers, I think this is the infinitely better choice. Also, they don't get locked by this, which should alleviate a number of additional problems. I am also making a revision to the hold circuit. I think we saw some issues in there relating to pulse length. There may have been a moment where this unlocked halfway through this thing's cycle, and the pulse was a little too short to activate everything properly. I'm not sure at this time, but I'm going to operate under the assumption that that is the case. And instead, we are just going to bring this. I don't have enough redstone to do this. We're just going to bring this signal over to here, and we're going to put it into this hopper to keep it locked while this is locked, so it won't even try to cycle until this is full again. And if it does cycle anyway, it'll still cycle. And see, this is yeah, look how fast that's emptying out. It's slower down here, but that doesn't really matter. And I should not have put that back in there, but I think we did only have 42, so that doesn't really taint the results any. And I'm not seeing any more in here. So I believe that has eliminated those 2 problems. Now, I want to put a flower pot in this window so that I can't just... I guess I could still kind of do that if I time it really right, but I can't just hop in there, but I can still access the chest. Because I want to actually encourage navigating the city as intended. Just for once. Now, of course, I have just locked myself out. And, you know, had I just built the whole thing 1 block forward, I probably could have put a facade on the building that could actually hide it. But I'm not going to do that. So, I think we're going to do a slightly larger test. And by larger, I mean exactly the same size as the last one. Plus, you know what, just for good measure, we're going to make it slightly larger than the previous test, but not by much, just so we can ensure that the results are relatively the same. Okay. 40 nether gold ore, 40 nether quartz ore. And here we go. Okay. That looks like it worked. Good. Okay. This is the part I'm worried about, is all of this. Guess who didn't do that dripstone output he said he was going to do earlier, and now it's come back to bite him. This guy! Okay, I have a slightly more stressful stress test prepared. I've got a stack of cobblestone, 2 stacks of dripstone, 3 stacks of basalt, 1 copper ore, that's all I had, some coal, some redstone, a lily of the valley, cornflower, a fair amount of stuff. Now, because we're also pulverizing lapis, we should only see 1 stack of blue dye in there, and if we see any more, there's a problem. So, here we go. Okay. 1 piece of flint. That's worrying. Because that means a piece of gravel got pulverized. Now it's, you know, it's gravel, so I'm not concerned about that, but it could at some point be lapis, right? So, okay, I've had kind of a stupid idea. Now, this doesn't work anymore, but I believe if you use a dispenser, you can still put multiple minecarts in 1 spot. I don't think this will fix anything, and it will certainly make doing this a lot harder. And I'm never getting that dispenser back. But that has made a difference in keeping this thing empty. There is, bare minimum, a larger buffer now. Which will eventually still run into the same problem, but it solves one of them. Oh. And we're done. Okay. We just have to wait for it to actually filter all out now. While we're waiting, I'm going to see what it would take to be able to run a line out of this hopper. Not quite there. There we go. With just a little bit of overgrowth that, if I hadn't pointed it out, nobody would have suspected was there to hide redstone. I think this circuit is now also connected. Okay, and I mean, the good news is that we only lost 1 cobblestone. There's exactly a stack of blue dye in there, There's exactly 2 stacks of sand. So there's no black dye. So I think that, other than that one mishap that I'll probably go back and check the flashback just to be certain, this thing looks like it's safe for use. And I think it's unlikely that I'll ever be putting that much stuff in it once again. So, you know, hopefully. So I'm going to call this project good. And I was going to say I can't really safely leave, but I guess I can always fall. And it looks like the aqueduct is in just the right spot that this thing is not going to bump into it, which is fantastic. I just need to cover this part up first and then extend the aqueduct. And I'm going to add one more thing to the docket that I'm sure I'm going to regret. I would like to get this looking not quite so bad, because you're really not supposed to see this part from this angle. Like this, it's fine, but I think my next step is going to be the front of the monolith, and I have half of an idea, so we're going to see how that works out. But that's probably going to be thrown in the same montage as this and just those two, really. You know, before I do that, you know what else I've done? I've finally replaced the spore blossom on this weird plant with an actual... I tried making a flower shape on a player head. I think it worked okay. So I've got the flowering dint rush is now growing over here, and I made a couple of those so I can dot them around the city in more places and hopefully actually make that a mechanic instead of just one thing. And have the spares in my head box. So now I can do the other stuff. I've got mail. Let's see here. Oh, heavens, it's the rum lady again. Okay. Okay, so I have received a shipment of mystery drinks, and I have to guess what went into making them. That shouldn't be hard. I've got 3 attempts and a camera. This one, based on color, I'm going to guess, just purely based on color, carrot and blood orange. I could be horribly mistaken. Let's see. You notice I've started with the one that is the easiest to guess by color. I'm not even going to try any of these yet. Okay, let's see. Purely blood orange. Okay, I was close. All right, so that was number 3. Now, I will say, technically, I could go take these over to an anvil and clear the name, and it would tell me what they're made out of, but I'm not going to do that because I have integrity. Let's see. I should do this in the kitchen, surely. Yeah, this is better. Let's see. Absorption and nothing else. I think berries are absorption. There's a second one that's absorption as well. Well, no, hang on. Apple. right? That was probably absorption and saturation, which makes me think berry and apple. I'll double check the effects later, but I think that was berry and apple. Let's try this one. I feel like maybe it could be melon. Jump boost. Grape. Is grape jump boost or is banana jump boost? And glowberry. I'll have to double check which one grape is. It must be grape because it's purple, so, you know, that narrows that down. Number 4. Absorption and regeneration, which makes me think berry and melon. But I could be way off base on what actually gives absorption. So, oh, this is actually quite insidious because it could be berries or it could be mangosteen. Well, there's only one way to find out. I was in the place where I keep these things. Pomegranate also gives regeneration. Oh, this is very insidious. In fact, I bet this is mangosteen and pomegranate. Just based on the color. Gonna have to apply the scientific method to this. But while we wait for that, the front of the monolith is still not done. Again, the Lost City of Moair is a long-term ongoing project, and if I keep trying to do everything in one go, it's going to kill me, like it did in October. So I've been dead the whole time. That's why I look like this. So let's just talk about what we have right now. It needs to go all the way down to the harbor. This is not its final form. I would like 2 larger staircases flanking these sides next, but that's, as you can see, a lot more digging, and also there has to be a harbor. And we're finally getting close enough that I can't really hide the box I've been using to duplicate allays anymore. So we're just going to have to address that. But I'm happier with this part. I think this, A, gives it an actual base to come down to, and I think I can probably lower the level of that deep slate a little bit. And B, provides a way up to the monolith from the middle of nowhere, which I frequently end up back here because the Birdplate is that way, and it's the quickest direct line. And then I would get here and there would be no stairs. So now there are stairs! And Bomb Squad is still there, and the plant is still concerning. But we have I've actually divided this part, and we have a small flower planter here. And this is technically, not there, technically our first foray into the red zone. So we actually get to get a little weird with the foliage here. So let's see here. I have all the stuff on me. I just don't know in what order I want to plant it. So we're going to try some of this stuff here. And then maybe one of these. And, I have less space than I thought I would, actually. So let's try maybe one of you. And because I came all the way over here with it, we'll put one of you down and try this. Oop, not that. Try this. So we want rosebush, pretty obvious. We're going to try some crimson roots here. I messed around with a couple designs for this, and one of them was slightly bigger, so I was sort of expecting more space, but I guess I have reduced it since then, which may have been a mistake. And then we'll try one of these here. I know I've complained about having to use coral in the past, but it does, if you can make it fit, it does work. This would be more impressive if these were grown, but I think, you can't really see it from there. But let's look at it from this angle. The angle we're always going to be looking at it from, because there's definitely a place to stand over here. I think that's not bad. It seems reasonable to me. Again, it'd be nice if this grew, but in the meantime, let's just see how this would have looked. No, it's going to look better when the netherwort grows. Okay. I guess I'm down here now. Fortunately, I got this brand new staircase that still didn't do me any good in getting out of there, but, it was something. And let's just pop you back there. And that's good enough. I think I can live with that. The last thing that is a problem, and I don't have the materials for it, so we're going to... God, the last thing that is really a problem is the fact that I don't have a window here. I've got windows on every other side of this thing with some form of pattern or another on them. This one has been giving me trouble because there's not a good red light. So I'm gonna smash this window. This window is gonna be broken. All right, this one's gonna be a bit of a weird one, so bear with me. We're gonna put some nylium there. Okay, that was the hard part. 2 of these. We're gonna get 1 of these guys, and then we're actually just gonna put a red concrete powder there. And then, because it needs some sort of support for it, I'm just gonna use red glass for the time being. This may change. We're actually going to knock this part out and lose it forever, apparently. I'm not going down for that. We're going to put 2 red candles on there, and I'm glad that's oriented that way, because it wouldn't have worked otherwise. And once again, because candles can be supported floating, but can't be placed floating, we need 1 of those there. I did forget something, which I knew was going to happen. And then we're just going to put a weeping vine there, 2 weeping vines there. We're going to shear them just in case. And we're going to put crimson roots right there. Now, when I built this in creative, those randomly rotated to that side, but I think I can live with it. And then we just need to adjust this. We want that oriented like that, and this like that. And we should be good. I still, again, the frame I think needs to be different, but that is the hard part out of the way, and let's see how it looks from the ground. You can't really see it from down here, which is sort of a recurring problem with these windows. Let's see how it looks from kind of far away. It looks red, so that's all you can really hope for. And as you're flying by, I mean, it would help if there was a back on it and you weren't just seeing the other window, but it looks broken, and that's fine with me. Okay, back to the other thing. All right, let's apply some scientific method. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's see here. Oh, this is quite insidious, isn't it? Okay, well, let's see. Gotta really squint at this one. I think this is closer than this. Berry and pomegranate. Oh, this truly is insidious. Okay, that's apple mangosteen, and that's apple berry. And I believe, as I suspected... Here, this is the easy way to do this. Yeah, it's not apple mango, or it's not apple berry. It is apple mangosteen. Okay. That's what I thought. I lost the book again. It's in here. This is mangosteen. An apple. Now this could also be cherries, I believe, but I think it's too purple to be cherries. Why do I have Palms Ahoy pineapples? These are either counterfeit or need to be burned. So, with the power of the scientific method, I believe that all of this is correct. Now, we get bonus points if we come up with a name. I feel like I should be able to do this, but it's going to take me a long time. Like all great beverage designers, I'd created a mood room, hung with images from which I could draw inspiration. Moss Cat, Jungle Juice, the actor, Peter Bowles. And pretty soon I was ready to start work. I've got it. Grape Phantasm, but spelled like Fanta the soft drink. The Bride of Mangosteen, the Great Pumpkin, and Dr. Acula. Like Dr. Pepper. I think I got it. Where do I actually turn this in? Take your damn book! Alright, I got one more thing I want to do before the end of the month, and it's going to give me a chance to finally offload some of these pumpkins, though probably not enough. And I'm also going to need a lot of red sandstone. Fortunately, I just got my pulverizer up and running, so I'm just going to throw some terracotta in there and wait. And this, I think we're going to take over to the Birdplate, because I don't want it in my backyard. Alright, there we go. This, as you might be able to guess, is sort of the follow-up to the Palms Ahoy sandcastle building competition. This is the 2025 Birdplate pumpkin carving contest, I guess. So sort of as an example, I've prepared this one ahead of time. Our contestants will be given a box full of materials, as with the sandcastle building competition, with which they can attempt to create the weirdest jack-o'-lantern. And I'll come back in a couple of days and judge it. It is, like a week from the end of the month, so I may end up judging this later in November, depending on how long people take, but whatever. So I'll come back and judge that later, I guess, and then that'll probably be the end of the episode. So here we go. You suckers don't know how good you have it. You get to just go to it instantly. I gotta wait a week or more. Christ, that was a long 2 weeks. But the deadline is in about 2 hours now, and I've got all the prizes put together. We got the Super Halloween Party Box, the regular Halloween Party Box, and the participation bags. So let's take a look in here. We got a whole bunch of fireworks, which actually they look like this. Like a pumpkin. Creaking Heart, I guess. These all seem Halloween-y. Candles, I don't know. Honey. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. This hat, it's mostly just an excuse to give away a whole bunch of pumpkins. And of course, the winner gets 16 shekels, which by popular demand, I've actually made look like coins. So more on that later, maybe. I also get some of these copper torches, which are part of an update that I haven't done the hey, we're in this update now thing for yet. So more on that next episode after I do the hey, we're in this update now thing. This box is pretty much the same, just not as many shekels. Same hat, same swamp robe. Totem of Undying, I guess, is something. Lucky gave me some royal jelly. It's fine. Again, it's just to trick people into taking all of my extra pumpkins. And the party bag, same deal. Some of these fireworks. These things, no wither roses, just one eye blossom because it's a bundle. It doesn't hold a lot. And any extra space full of pumpkins. It's all just a scam to get rid of the pumpkins. And if you were paying close attention and actually paused the video for the 2 seconds that I was actually on the prize page, you may have noticed that the winner is also entitled to a non-specific revelation, which is just, there's a lot about Foundation, even still, that only I know, and I feel like that may be valuable information to prying minds. And also, they've been promised a night in a haunted house, which sounds worse than it is. So as I've no doubt reiterated several times in the past already and just forgotten, every so often we get a bee in our collective bonnets about getting more people on the server, and we'll do a community outreach public recruitment drive or something, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes we do it at sort of the very beginning of summer when everyone's thinking, all right, summer vacation, I'm going to finally take some time off and play Minecraft, I'm going to really get back into it this time, and then they get bored of it after 3 weeks because the modern attention span has been eroded down to less than the lifespan of a fruit fly. And we're stuck with a bunch of empty houses on the server. Or sometimes you get a text from Llama at like 3 in the morning saying, hey, it turns out my roommate is like a wanted criminal. Can you erase all evidence that he was ever here, please and thank you? I mean, who could have seen that coming? But sometimes there's cool free stuff in those empty houses. Oh, God, no! Well, I guess they're going to someone else. There's a lot of stuff in this house. So that's the prize. There's a house out in the wilderness that's still got some guy's inventory in it, and some of his, or there's a good chance the prize may have already been picked clean by looters, but I'm not going to tell them that. And that's the prize. It's quote unquote haunted because there's a dead guy living there, metaphorically. And time is up. It is November 7th. I gave him till a week after Halloween just to make sure people had time to do it, and somebody still waited until the last possible minute anyway. But the entries are all in. I think most of the people I was expecting to participate have participated, and then some. I tricked Lucky into decorating this path that will likely never be used again, or never be used again until next Halloween. I don't know. But we've still got my example over here. Let's take a look at the entrance. Just move right on. All right, so from Zacticon, we have Roberto, and I only know that this is Zacticon's because I caught him doing it, and he refused to put his name on it, and I can't imagine why. Interesting. Nobody did this one, and DarkLlama has made a llama named Carl in a hat who kills people. So obviously that's some pretty stiff competition for Roberto. God damn it. Meanwhile, from the other llama, we have a very unnerving cat. I don't I don't like it when eyes follow me. DarkLlama's skin does this too when he's wearing an actual helmet. There's a parallax effect that I find most unnerving, and this is most unnerving. So it's, as far as my criteria being solely weird goes, this is pretty weird. It's winning points for that. Speaking of weird, Dewey has really taken some time with this one. This jack-o'-lantern is not just a, I would almost say a pillager face if it were a little angrier, but it's also an interactive exhibit which has pulled the ultimate power move of entering into a contest by creating another contest. And apparently we win something if we can count how many buttons there are, which does feel in the spirit of the Halloween party tradition. But I don't know what the prize is, nor where to submit my answers in typical fashion, so I'm not going to. But once again, very weird. And then we come to Casey, who, for doing his at the last minute while ill, has managed to squeeze quite a lot of detail into this. And when I say last minute, I mean he turned his box in at 2 seconds to midnight, pretty much. So this is I'm not going to mince words. This it's gross. I don't know what has happened to this poor lady. Gnarled, greasy, hooked in places you don't want. That singular tooth, unpleasant, and then just these magic wand, I'm sure, and then this one just flipping me the bird, and arms, which is equally, I don't know what these are diegetically, just bits of pumpkin that have been moved with a candle. I don't know. Speaking of weird things with arms, Sun has created Jonathan Jerald, who is apparently so important that he gets his own sign. And so first of all, that was not in the box. The secret ingredient here was the terracotta pedestals. I don't know where the fish came from, and I also believe it's possible to peek in here, and there's a pirate Dewey. So Sun has gone full off the reservation, and I believe this is actually just fully like a rat house in here as well. Yep, so that's he's got a big pair of cords that can change shape. He's got shoulder pads. He's smoking a stogie. He's a very, very interesting man. And by God, was I not expecting the competition on this to be quite so stiff. But after a lot of painstaking deliberation between creepy eyes, funhouse carnival game, fully just murder covered in blood and the what must be the guts of other pumpkins, I must assume, gnarled warlock, and sheer absurdity. These are entirely disparate qualities which are difficult to place against one another. I have nonetheless decided that the Halloween spirit is best represented by by disgusting gnarled crone and horrific murder. So, as much as it pains me because it just means that the rich get richer, Casey and Llama are currently like in contention for most shekels. Casey takes number 1, DarkLlama takes number 2. And because I'm filming some of this out of order, I have actually handed out, I made 6 Halloween party bags, and there were 6 entrants, and I've already given away all of the party bags, which actually means that because there were 4 shekels in each of those, I have just taken 4 shekels out of these so that it matches up with the stated initial prize. So, DarkLlama will be winning the Halloween party box with 4 additional shekels in addition to the 4 I've already gave him, and all of this weird stuff. Casey will be winning the Super Halloween party box with an additional 12 shekels. All of this plus, if we go all the way to the end here again, I should have just left it on that page, 1 revelation and a night in a haunted house. So I think I have made a call that I can live with. So I'm going to drop these off. And then I will be showing Casey to his haunted house when he's feeling better, because as I understand it, he's quite ill. But hopefully soon. Now, unfortunately, Aang did not get a chance to decorate a pumpkin this year, nor do I really have any confirmation that he was actually aware the contest was happening. But not to worry, as I have given him a very special non-participation trophy, which was really the whole point of this competition, was to offload as many pumpkins as I could, and yes, this is solid. And between me, Lucky, and Casey, we've probably offloaded about 12 stacks. Have fun, Aang! And there we go. I don't know if Casey will ever find this because I don't really think he comes in here that often. He mostly just lives at the bakery. And in addition, Casey will be winning a free voucher for the revelation of a dark secret and a night in a haunted house, which I think are pretty good. Now, we got work to do. Well, actually, I have to go back and show him where the haunted house is, but then we have work to do. Let me show you to your haunted house. This house does not currently belong to anyone, but it used to belong to someone. And contained within is everything that hasn't been picked clean by looters and his entire inventory. And all you have to do to inherit this is spend 1 night in the haunted house. And it's all yours. Congratulations. You got this for stabbing a pumpkin. Housing crisis over. And with that, also, that is the end of my oft-bemoaned backlog. I've worked through all of it, and we're done. So this might I might be taking a short break here, schedule-wise. I've been managing to actually put out a video once a week for the last like 3.5 months after having 4-month breaks in between uploads, whatever. We don't have to worry about that. But now that I no longer have a year's worth of content just sort of banked, I might actually just sit back and take my time on some of these going forward, and or just take a break and sleep for 16 hours, whatever. Either one. So thanks for tuning in. We now go on our mid-season hiatus, which, unlike most mid-season hiatuses in modern television, will not be 2.5 years. Star Trek Strange New Worlds.